Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Hitting the Hardwood podcast, your home for all the latest Minnesota Lynx and WNBA news, analysis, and coverage. Thank you for tuning into another episode. I'm your host, Mitchell Hansen, and who's ready for some WNBA basketball? With the preseason underway for some teams across the league, the Minnesota Lynx get their preseason underway here this week as you're listening to this podcast. Pair of games against the Chicago Sky, so they'll play Chicago for 2 games before the regular season commences. But the first game is May 6th, the second game is May 10th. And then we're already here for the regular season. It's crazy kind of how fast everything has come up. I know we've kind of been anticipating this for months now, or at least the start of the season, ever since we learned of the opening night slate and just kind of when the regular season was going to get underway. But it's crazy just how fast it came up, and it feels like we were just watching NCAA basketball, and now we're jumping into things with the WNBA with a lot of those NCAA faces or college faces joining the WNBA in what will be an exciting year, a groundbreaking year, and also setting the stage for what will be kind of a historic year in 2026. So it will be. It'll be interesting to see what happens for specifically for the Lynx. I mean, this is the case all across the WNBA, with looking to see how players are playing and how they're performing, what they're capable of, what they can do with the time that they have on the floor, with the limited preseason games. But basically, just seeing what some of these players, what they can do and what they can bring to the team if they can prove themselves, earn themselves a roster spot on one of the 13 teams. And also it's interesting to see what these rookies will do. I know obviously Paige Beckers being atop the list, but what they're able to do, not just in the preseason, but as we get ready or as the regular season gets underway, kind of who separates themselves. Obviously, we had the likes of, you could say Caitlin. Caitlin Clark was pro ready before she even turned pro, but you had Caitlin Clark who just kind of shot up and kind of stormed onto the scene right away. I think we're going to see a very similar situation with Paige Beckers. She's ready. She's been ready. That is being a WNBA player, and how and if her game would translate to the WNBA. She'll get underway, I think, here really fast, if we don't already see it in the preseason. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with those players. Also, it's really interesting to see this Minnesota Lynx training camp roster play out, because it's a very, very competitive camp, a very deep training camp roster, and it's going to make some tough decisions or make for some tough decisions. And that's going to be, that's going to be something that Cheryl Reeve and her coaching staff and in the entire Lynx organization is really going to have to sit down and think about, because there are some players on this team that are capable of making a roster, maybe should get their spot on a roster, who won't. And I think they do have some tough decisions. This is a very deep team, and that's even before we're narrowing down the roster as this podcast is recording. But it'll be interesting to see what plays out, the rotations, how they look in the first preseason game. Obviously, we know the starting five. That's a given, and that's not going to change. But what the bench players, or what the bench is going to look like, and what those quote unquote bench players will be able to provide in the preseason to try and earn themselves a spot. So it's been a fun camp so far, and looking forward to seeing it play out. Speaking of camp, during training camp, as in the earlier days of training camp, I had the opportunity to sit down with our very special guest that we have on the podcast this week. He was rocking a suit, and I felt very underdressed, but it was the production day for the team, so they were all dressed up, and I know a lot of the players were dressed up as well. But it was a busy few days. That was actually the day after media day. So it was a busy few days for the players and coaches and just the organization in totality. But the person that I was joined by this week, I know that a lot of you are familiar with him, not so much in Minnesota, but you're familiar with him and what he has done in his career. He's got a lot of Minnesota ties. But that being new Lynx assistant coach, Eric Thibault. And Eric, I really appreciated him taking some time, not only during the production day, but also taking some time to, just sit down with me. Because anytime you can kind of sit down with anybody on the team, whether it's a player, coach, front office, personnel. It's I know they're incredibly busy. They don't have to join this podcast. They graciously offer their time, and I really appreciate Eric talking about what he's going to bring to Minnesota, what he has done in his career, talks a little bit about his Minnesota ties, and also just kind of dives into the team itself. So I really hope you enjoy this podcast with Eric Thibault, and let's jump right into it. Eric, how are you doing?
Doing great. Media day, biggest day of the year.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Good few days into camp. We're rolling right along.
Well, good deal. How I know I've talked to you about this a little bit over the last couple of weeks, kind of leading up to training camp or and the preseason. But I don't want to say welcome to Minnesota because you have ties to Minnesota, so it's kind of like a welcome home type of thing. But like, what how's your time been in Minnesota so far, and what's maybe the last few weeks been like for you?
Yeah, busy. I mean, it's good. I think by the time we get through our off season and we get to this point where we're happy to be busy and getting going, you do all the planning through the winter, all the prepping for free agency and the draft, and then as you see your players start coming into town. Obviously, this is new for me, arriving into town right before the season, but um, no, by the time you get to, I hit the ground here early April. Before long, it was the draft, and then training camp is right around the corner. So it's been good. We're such a good group of people. The culture they've built here, it's easy for a newcomer to come in and get a feel for the place. And I'm just happy we're back on the court with the majority of our group ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. You had mentioned to me in the past about your ties that you have here. If you could just kind of touch on that a little bit and just how many people you have in Minnesota and
Yeah,
who might be coming out to many Lynx games this summer.
yeah. My dad was born here, born in St. Paul, and lived here the first few years of his life. A lot of his extended family is still here. I don't even know how many, to be honest with you. We're talking hundreds of Thibaults and versions of Thibaults around the state. So um, my sister worked here for Lindsay Whalen at the U. So it's I've kind of said it's about as comfortable as you can be with a place without having actually lived
Yeah.
here myself. So I guess I'm kind of completing the circle now.
Does it feel like you're back at home, kind of? I mean, is it kind of a sense of home? And was that something that maybe you were looking for this off season when you were looking for another opportunity?
Maybe home is strong because it's literally been like 3 weeks.
Well, yeah.
But I'd say familiar. It just feels
Yeah.
familiar. It feels natural. Um, I got my bearings. Simple stuff like geography. Like I know where I'm going for the most part, which is really helpful. Being in a new city, especially when you're trying to focus on other stuff. Um, no, it's good. I feel like I understand the people. Um, never lived here, but I lived in Wisconsin. I know maybe Minnesota people will take issue with me saying that uh, they're similar, but I grew up a Midwestern, grew up in Omaha and Milwaukee, and so it just feels comfortable. It feels like obviously a place I want to be, and that was a major bonus of being here.
Before we get into kind of what it's been like for you so far here and your role with the team, I just want to go back a little bit on your dad and kind of open that up to you to ask how he's doing and kind of what his plans are right now.
Yeah, he is getting ready. He leaves in about 48 hours to head overseas. He's coaching the Belgian national team. So they have Euro basket here in about 6 weeks. So he gets over there this weekend, and they play a series of exhibition games and stuff before the tournament. They've got a very good team, and a chance to compete. They're the defending champions of Eurobasket. And I've been telling people it is great for the whole family that he's doing that and has a lot to occupy him. And I think it's just a really cool thing for him to be able to do. I think it's a great match. He's obviously coached some of the players that are on that team, Emma Meesman, Julie Van Loo. And so, it's cool. It's going to be a different experience. We've been used to him being with USA basketball a couple different times, and now we get root for the Belgium Cats as well.
Absolutely. And I have a feeling he'll be cheering for the Lynx quite a bit as well.
Oh
So,
yeah, you'll see
yeah.
him later in the summer. He'll be around. Yep.
Yeah, well, good. Speaking of the Lynx, I just want to, for those who are listening, just kind of get a little bit of a insight as to exactly what your role is. And obviously it's a new space, a new coaching staff that you're a part of. I just wanted to kind of open that up to you to be able to kind of explain what exactly your role will be with the Lynx this season.
Yeah, without trying to sound like we don't know what my role is, but I think what Cheryl's done a really good job of is kind of let things develop a little bit naturally with
Hmm.
myself, BB, Lindsay, and then the other people that are on the court as well. Steph, who are player development, and Sela, who does player development and video. Um, so she's given us some specific things. We haven't even officially divided up the roster and who's taking who. I think we have a feel. I'm kind of running with some of the advanced scouting. But every day it's on the court with players. We'll do the scouting piece will take a bigger, chunk of time once we get into the season or a little bit closer to the start of the season. But then even getting on board in December, a lot of the offseason stuff, prepping for free agency, getting ready for the draft. Cheryl obviously does a huge chunk of that, and then she's got kind of more of the front office group on the back end, the analytics department, that type of thing. But having been around the league a while, it's been fun just to kick around ideas for roster and how that might look and who might be a good fit. So it's just been a balance, I would say, of that side of things and the basketball side of things.
What's it been like for you to be a part of the staff so far? I know it's just weeks in, but early on, what are your thoughts on the coaching staff and the support staff behind them as well?
Yeah, hugely appealing to be here to work with those people. I've known Lindsay a long time. BB, I've gotten to know probably even more since she was done playing, although we had to coach against her for a bunch of years. But one thing that we always had a huge premium on in DC was having good people on staff. People that would challenge my dad and later myself as the head coach. I think Cheryl wants strong people who have a voice and that are about team and putting egos to the side. So it's been probably one of the the biggest joys so far, other than just getting to know our players. Is that I get to go every day to work knowing I'm happy that the people I'm working with. So that was a huge, hugely attractive part of coming here.
Yeah. Outside of obviously the day-to-day or the role itself, what do you think that, or what do you bring to this role that, whether it's your experience that you've had in the past or maybe it's a fresh perspective, what do you believe that you bring to this role that will, help not only the coaching staff, the organization, but the team as well?
I mean, I hope I bring things in a few different areas. Probably the thing I love most is just getting on the court with players and helping them develop. I think in DC we had a pretty good track record of that, and thinking about players, individually, not having just a cookie cutter approach for every player, but really thinking about how I can help contribute to each player getting a little bit better and how it fits into the team. I think it's great to be a skills trainer and have players work on their game, but if it doesn't fit into the way we want to play, it doesn't go nearly as far. So I think having that, understanding of team wise how we want to play and being able to take that to our individual players and help them develop. I feel like I've I've been around this league a long time and understand what winning basketball looks like. I think Cheryl and I have very similar ideas about the values of a good team basketball wise, what works, playing unselfishly, defending, sharing the ball, shooting the ball. And so I think that, I can support her vision on that on a day-to-day basis. And then, as much as we're similar, we've had different paths here. So bringing some thoughts and experiences, I haven't had to yet challenge too much because there's not, it's a winning team and why would I come in here and rock the boat and try to, change how everything's done? So I feel like I have enough common sense to pick my spots where, I feel like I have something to offer. But, my main job as an assistant is to try to help build and continue the culture and the vision that's been laid down here.
Do you want to get your business in front of a passionate and dedicated fan base? Do you want to support the ever-growing landscape of women's sports? Hitting the Hardwood Network is here for you. We offer partnerships and sponsorships at various levels, including advertising on the Hitting the Hardwood and Lynx Happy Hour podcast, the Hitting the Hardwood newsletter, Patreon page, website, social media, and much more. If you want to partner or sponsor Hitting the Hardwood, please reach out to us at hittingthehardwood@gmail.com and let's chat about how we can work together to support the ever-growing landscape of women's sports and help the game grow. I want to give a shout out to our current partners here at Hitting the Hardwood and those who help make Hitting the Hardwood happen. Thank you to Pence Homes, Fantasy Sports Evo, Homage, and Better Edge for your continued partnership and your continued support of Hitting the Hardwood and Lynx Happy Hour and your willingness to help make the game grow.
With your experience, facing the Lynx plenty last year, I mean, with even from the start of the season, I know you talked about it in your introductory press conference that you could kind of see the vision of this team right away.
Yeah.
From that moment and throughout the year last year, what was your kind of take on the Lynx as somebody on the outside?
Well, I appreciate you not bringing up my record against the Lynx. That's very nice of you. No, I think, I mean, Cheryl's teams here have always had an identity. The way they've defended, the way they've moved the ball. I'd say stylistically, it's maybe a different team now than the Lindsay, Simone, Maya, Brunson, Sill teams. It's they've opened the floor up a bit. But those hallmarks of what made them a good team, a great team for all those years, are still really visible. The way they pressure, the way they defend, how connected they are. You feel like it's just a group that's a hard one to crack. They were so resilient last year all the way through the season and into the playoffs. You don't know all of that in training camp, but even playing against them, like you mentioned, that first week of camp last year, you could feel it. You could feel the connection they had. You could feel the energy that Courtney brought to that group. You could feel what Alana Smith offered them as a compliment to Fee and kind of a glue player for that starting group. And I think we knew they were going to be a good team, but then to watch what developed, and they just kept getting better and better. Kind of, maybe marrying some of the things that, have been the last 4 or 5 years in our league that have been successful offensively with floor spacing and shooting the ball and spacing the floor to some of the kind of old school values that have made this franchise great.
Mm-hmm. I know that the early conversations or there were the first couple days of training camp where we're talking about not only putting it behind the team, putting it behind the organization of how last year ended, but also how to use that as motivation.
Yeah.
I know Brunson and Waylon were asked that quite a bit during their media day availabilities that they were a part of that team that experienced a heartbreak and then came back stronger the next year. Is that kind of a motto or a theme or kind of is that something that's present in training camp of using that as fuel, but also putting it behind them and kind of turning the page?
We talked about it the first day, first huddle. And we haven't really talked about it since, other than when we've spoken with yourself and in the media the other day. It's one of those things I don't think you have to talk about a ton because it's kind of so obvious, and the group that's been here lived it. They don't probably need a lot of reminding of it. They're going to get reminded, I assume, more when they get asked questions in front of media than they are internally. But I think using it as fuel in the right way, keeping it in its right proportion about in everything we talk about, because I would say it's that's not going away. It's going to be there. Lindsay and BB both talked about that. Like, it's not going away. They still remember 2016. It's not like winning in 2017 totally wiped that out. So it's going to be there, but we have an opportunity to create something special with the team that's in 2025. And I think that's where most of our energy and our focus is going to go to.
Yeah. Speaking of the team in 2025, I know it's not finalized yet of course, with the roster. We're still early on, but what are your early impressions of this team? And, it's a team that's returning a bulk of its finals team from a year ago and added depth. So what are your early thoughts of this squad?
Yeah, it's so obvious to walk into a gym and see a team that knows who they are. Knows not only like culturally and how they act towards each other, which is really easy to say and hard to do. I mean, the way they treat each other and play for each other. But you throw like Natisha Heidemann and Courtney out there together the first day, and you have two kind of lead guard ball handlers that just set the tone for the group in different ways. Obviously Fee, obviously Lan. We haven't had BC and K-Mac on the floor yet, but there's such a such a clarity to what they expect from themselves and their teammates. I'm just fun to watch it. I'm looking forward to watching it come together through the next couple of weeks because the first few days you're just trying to get your fundamentals in, and I think now as we go the next couple of weeks at camp, you're going to see that chemistry and that connection surface a little bit more each day.
Mhm. Like I said before, obviously the season's not here yet, but what do you think that this group can accomplish this year? What is the ultimate, I guess, goal of? I know what you're gonna say, but
Yeah.
what's the ultimate goal for this squad?
I mean, championship's the goal. It's a team with that in mind every day when we walk in the building. But I think breaking that down into kind of manageable pieces, and our goal is to get better every day. To walk in with a plan of what we want to work on. Coaches, we bring a practice plan. Players come with an attitude and a determination that they want to improve. I mean, I think it's the best part of having somebody like Nafisa Collier as your franchise player is she wants to get better. She wants to be coached. She wants to be pushed. And so, the goals that you have at the end of the season get in reach a lot faster if you just focus on improving. And that's what they've had success with. It's what we had success with our best teams in DC. And so that's where we're going to spend our focus.
Mm-hmm. You have seen Nafisa Collier kind of on, from I guess you could call it an outsider's view or without being
Yeah.
part of the team. But what are your thoughts on her and what she could even grow even more into an MVP candidate, or she is an MVP candidate, but
Yeah.
win an MVP award this year. What are your thoughts on her and just kind of how she carries herself and the talent that's there?
Man, there's nothing more valuable than a truly unselfish superstar. I mean, it permeates the whole organization, permeates the whole roster. She's how good she is from the outside playing against her and trying to game plan and that stuff, but you just watch her how hard she competes every day. We're playing pickup a couple weeks ago before camp, and uh, people with her that maybe she hasn't played with before. So people here who are here for camp that are in early, and she's just setting the tone for how that should look. Um, she doesn't have an off switch. She doesn't toggle it down and coast. And when she would be the one who would have some leeway to do that, but she doesn't, and that's why she is who she is. So, um, she sets the tone. I think sometimes our job as coaches is just going to be a support. Sometimes it's going to be to try to give her some things here and there, maybe against certain matchups or certain little skill tidbits that can help her. And then she wants to be pushed. So when you want to get on her, she's willing to take that and use it. And that's an amazing example for the rest of the team that, you can't put a price on that one, to be honest.
A couple to round things out. I have a couple just kind of lighthearted questions.
Okay.
As in the past, you've been a coach on the outside. You've noticed the Lynx fans, the Target Center fans, how I guess you could say rowdy or passionate they are. Are you excited to be on this side of things now?
Oh yeah, very much so. The things you notice as uh, an opposing team are funny sometimes from city to city. One, just like they're right on top of the visiting bench and on top of the scores table. And that's something you notice because it's not that way in every building. I remember what it used to feel like. Shoot, even last year, having a fourth quarter lead on the road and just knowing that one or two plays, the energy in the building is just going to change, and then you're playing uphill. We faced that last year, obviously, and through those championship seasons, you couldn't afford to take your foot off the gas for 1 second if you were in control of the game because all of a sudden you'd feel like the whole Target Center was coming down on top of you. So it'll be nice to be riding that wave instead of trying to fight against it.
Yeah, absolutely. It still resonates with me when Lindsey Whalen had said this for whether it's Lynx fans or Gophers fans or just women's basketball fans in general within the state. When you win and when you have a winner, they will support you to no
Yeah.
end. And I think that's true for a lot of fan bases, but especially with this Lynx fan base, they will just support you to no end, which is great. It creates an incredible home court advantage and just atmosphere and vibe around the team, which is exactly what you want out of a fan base.
I think they've fallen in love with this team too, and
Mhm.
why would they? The way they play, I think, um, not only resonates basketball wise, but just kind of as an ethos, hardworking, unselfish. Like who wouldn't want to root for a team like that?
Yeah, absolutely. One other question I have for you. Favorite thing that either you have done or that you've done, in your time here in Minnesota over the last few weeks, but maybe it's favorite thing you've done, favorite attraction, favorite restaurant, anything that falls in the line there.
Nice. So I live fairly close to the Stone Arch Bridge, so it's been fun. I've got my dog here with me, so walking the dog down there. My family came in over Easter, so we got to see that whole area. Let I come around, run on the practice courts and stuff here. He had a blast. What else do we need?
Yeah.
He could have done that all day, but no, it's been cool being here. We were able to go with the team for Wolves playoff games too. So to be in there and feel that environment and everything was pretty awesome. So I don't know. I definitely got my restaurants and stuff lined up. I haven't done a lot of that yet, but one thing about being a road team is you tend to find the best spots.
That is true.
I've got my few spots lined up.
What kind of dog do you have?
Got a black lab mix. Yeah.
Okay.
Lab.
Okay, very cool. And one last thing, you said restaurants. I gotta ask, it's not really a restaurant, but have you been or do you plan to go to the state fair this year?
Okay. Well, maybe you can help me out. Yes. Yes, because it's in a Minnesota book that we've been reading at bedtime.
Okay.
Definitely it's on our radar. Do you know when the state fair is? I should know. But...
It's normally around Labor Day, so it's like the week before
Okay.
Labor Day, so end of August, early September-ish, somewhere around there, which I know is kind of down the stretch of
I'm
of
like,
the
where
season,
are
but
we in that week of the season? No, I've got our first several games mapped out, the scouting schedule, all that, but
yeah.
September feels like a very long way away, even though it's probably not. It's
I
gonna be here.
I know that a couple, well, the Wolves do this too, but I know the Lynx players, at least a few, normally go out, and I know that the video crew and the content crew they kind of follow them around for the day, but um, it's it's something else. It's a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
it's cool to see everybody in the state and beyond come to this thing every year. But it's like I don't even know how many days it is. I think it's like 12 days or
Okay.
something like that. So there's plenty of opportunities, that's for sure.
All right. So we need an off day in there somewhere. That's what we're
Yeah.
saying.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll
You
be
got to
there.
get some cookies. You got to get some Sweet Martha's cookies.
Okay. Nice.
So
That's right up my alley.
yeah. Well, you can't go wrong with warm cookies, I guess.
No.
Um, well, Eric, I appreciate you joining. Welcome, as I said, welcome back, welcome home, kind of
Welcome-ish. Yeah.
to Minnesota. And looking forward to having you part of the organization, and just kind of see how things go this summer. So I appreciate you joining, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for the warm welcome. Thrilled to be here.
Thank you once again to Eric for joining the podcast this week. As I mentioned at the beginning, it's really great to be able to sit down with somebody with the insight, the knowledge, and just just the generosity that Eric provides. And it's not very often that you get to just sit down with somebody like that and get to talk to them, especially somebody that's new here, somebody that could have, like I said, could have easily said no because they had a busy last few weeks. They're getting ready for the season, but he was gracious with his time, and provided it here. And it was great chatting with him. And hopefully you were able to, as I did, were able to get to know him a little bit better, and also kind of just get a peek behind the curtain of what he might provide and what others might provide to the Lynx here this season. I also want to give a shout out to the one and only Terry Horseman, who is not only a talented writer, a great guy, but he is also just happens to be my partner here at Hitting the Hardwood, and he also does a great job with the Lynx Happy Hour podcast. If you're not already subscribed to that, please go check that out, and listen to that. Terry does a great job with breaking down the game. Not only with his written content, but now over the airwaves with the podcast. So I'm glad that Terry, wanted to jump on this endeavor with me and start his own podcast, but also partner here at Hitting the Hardwood. And hopefully between his podcast, my podcast, the content that we both provide, our Patreon page, our newsletter, I hope you guys get a lot of insight from us, and hopefully you follow us along as much as you can this season, not only on social media, but like I said, written content and with these podcasts as well. Our podcast will be a little different as well. He will have some different guests that I won't necessarily have. I'll touch a little bit more on the WNBA side of things as well. And obviously, I'll still talk about the Lynx and still cover the Lynx, but it's good to have more podcasts, good to have more coverage, good to have more voices. And I'm glad that we're doing this together. So appreciate you, Terry, and thank you for all that you do for the Lynx and for the game of women's basketball and hitting the hardwood, of course. I also want to give a shout out to our partners here at Hitting the Hardwood. If you know somebody that wants to be a partner with us, we do have our kind of different sponsorship levels on our website. You can go check the partners page or check out the partners page on our website. You can find the link to the website on any of our social medias. But check out the website and not only see the partners that we do partner with right now and our sponsors of both podcasts and Hitting the Hardwood Network in general. But you'll see, as I mentioned, the pricing breakdown if you are interested. And if you're interested and those price points on there just don't make sense, just reach out. You can email us at hittingthehardwood@gmail.com. We're happy to chat. I mean, it's not that we're set in stone on those things. Like you guys can reach out to us and it's a partnership here. We're willing to make it work. And we're just dedicated to making the game grow. But we want you to join us. We want you, and if you know a business, to jump on board, and let's keep this thing going, keep this thing rolling, and let's grow this game because it needs the coverage that is provided. It needs more of it too, and I hope that we're able to do more in your support, whether it's business through partnership or checking out our Patreon page, becoming a patron over there at patreon.com/hitting the hardwood. But it helps with the longevity of these podcasts and the longevity of our coverage of the Lynx and the WNBA in general. But as I said, our four partners that we do have here at Hitting the Hardwood, obviously I'll start here with Pence Homes. Nate and the team over at Pence Homes, they're great. They're your top choice for buyers and sellers, and they're proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Check out pencehomes.com and reach out to Nate and the team over at Pence Homes. The other partners I want to give a shout out, they've been longtime supporters here of Hitting the Hardwood specifically, but the Hitting the Hardwood Network, the Lynx Happy Hour podcast, all of the above. That being Fantasy Sports Evo, Homage, and Better Edge. I'll start with Better Edge. Your good friends at Better Edge. You got to go check them out. BETTOREdge.com. They put together a fantastic betting platform. And you can also get some free money if you go check out Better Edge. BETTOREdge.com. As I mentioned, if you go to betteredge.com/links, you put the promo code links, LYNX, you get a free $20 in free play to play with. So go check that out and please go support them and their Minneapolis-based business, and they do a great job with supporting all sports, including women's basketball. On that note, or kind of on the same note there, Fantasy Sports Evo, it's a very unique betting platform where you're not betting on players, you're betting on teams. But they have been a longtime supporter of Hitting the Hardwood as well. And we appreciate everything they do. So you can please go check them out. You can download the app, Fantasy Sports Evo. And then the last is Homage. Homage does a lot of vintage clothing gear. They do a great job with Lynx and WNBA hoodies, or hoodies, I shouldn't say hoodies, clothing, but hoodies included. I personally have the hoodie and I have the WNBA shirt, which I'm actually wearing as I'm recording this podcast. And I do have a Lynx t-shirt as well. It's very comfy, very, very great clothing items. You check out our partners page on our website. There are two hyperlinks in there, one that says Lynx item and one that says WNBA item within the description of Homage. If you click on any of those, it doesn't cost you anything more, but if you click on them, you purchase something, you get a portion of your purchase comes back to support Hitting the Hardwood. So we appreciate anything you guys can do there. But as I mentioned, reach out if you or you know somebody that is interested in becoming a partner of Hitting the Hardwood and the Hitting Hardwood Network. You'll get two podcasts, your name over two podcasts. You'll get newsletter, Patreon page, and social media recognition, all the above. And you'll get a mention on this podcast. You'll join this group of shout outs at the end of the podcast, as I do every episode. But as I mentioned, hittingthehardwood@gmail.com. Let's chat. Let's see what we can do. With that said, I really appreciate you tuning into another episode here right before we get underway here in the regular season. It's crazy that we're about almost a week away from tip off at the regular season, and then we're underway in full force, 44 game season, in what will be a great year, and I think it will be a phenomenal year for the Minnesota Lynx once again. But I'm excited to get it going. I'm excited for another year. This is year 10 for me, and I absolutely love every second of it, and I look forward to another fantastic year. So thank you for listening. I really appreciate you tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and listen to this podcast every week as you're doing. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the preseason, the rest of training camp, and then eventually the start of the regular season. We'll talk to you again soon.